Let's go!
That's a great team win tonight.
The Commanders are being disrespected, really, after a dominant Monday Night Football win. They are 3.5-point underdogs to Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, who up to this point have mostly looked good. I understand that they are 1-2, but it's not like they are playing bad football, right? And Kyler Murray, of course, juking and jiving, getting all the way up here for a nice gain for a first down versus a really good Lions defense. So obviously the big story going into this game is Marvin Harrison, right? Cardinals have a really good set of skill guys. James Conner in motion's been a really good running back. Michael Wilson, I think, is a very good young wide receiver. And Kyler Murray, even though there is no pressure here, he does a good job eventually going through his progressions, extending this play. Nothing is open. And this is something you're going to have to deal with, right? Obviously, Jayden Daniels can also be a play extender, but he more so gets north and south a little bit quicker, where Kyler Murray is more than likely going to sit back there and eventually find a guy, which he does here. Now, for the very first offensive play from Jayden Daniels, I want to see this connection between Terry McLaurin and B-Rob next week, okay? A little hook and lateral. I know Jayden and the gang can pull it off. I better freaking see it, Cliff Kingsbury. This, obviously, to me, has been my favorite play of the season, and Jahmyr Gibbs pounds it on in there. Let's go. So from a defensive standpoint, I understand the Commanders don't have Chase Young, and they traded off Sweat last year. Can you get pass rush, right? Obviously, you don't have the Hutchinson-level pass rusher, but this is a Cardinals offensive line who struggled last week, right? And obviously, you would like to think the Commanders can get home with 4. So let's go to the Buffalo game. One thing I think you'll see a lot of with, an offensive line coming off a rough game is a lot of 12 personnel. This is actually 13 personnel with 3 tight ends, and them actually throw out of this, right? This is a 6-2 front, right? You rarely do see that, and you get some split zone action here with the tight end. These kind of play action fakes are really difficult to deal with, especially if you have a running back like James Conner who you have to respect. And obviously Kyler has a choice of running it himself. You want to just toss it right here to the tight end. So I would expect a lot of pre-snap motion, play action at a heavy personnel versus the Commanders. Another thing that's going to be interesting is that wasn't even Arizona's best tight end, right? They have, to me, who I would consider to be the best tight end in the NFL, and Trey McBride, right? So last week, the tight ends for the Bengals had a pretty big day, Eric Gall and Mike Gesicki. And in the previous 2 games versus the Bucs and the Giants, well, their tight ends combined for 1 catch and 5 yards. So just something of note, you could see McBride go off this weekend. We could look at this next play as a positive or a negative, right? Because when you play Jayden Daniels, it's jarring, right? But at least the Cardinals, from their vantage point, they have faced an elite dual-threat quarterback. Now, Jayden is a better runner than Josh, but Josh is probably better at red zone getting in because of his frame. Either way, Jayden and Josh are really good at zone reads. Obviously, Jayden is the best zone read puller I have ever seen. And Josh is obviously really good. Can the Cardinals stop this? I don't think so, because nobody can really stop the Jayden zone read run game. As you can see, the Cardinals played a really good defensive game. Josh Allen just did Josh Allen stuff. So you see the Cardinals are getting very aggressive, and they get exactly what they want. Unblocked pressure, okay? The blitz works. It's Josh Allen, right? And we know Jayden could do the same thing. Obviously, Jayden is not Josh Allen, but we know Jayden can get away from pressure. The one thing it's going to be interesting from Jayden's vantage point is he is more of a tuck and go kind of guy when he makes the first guy miss. I think he's going to have opportunities here to keep his eyes down the field and actually play scramble drill and throw it down the field on the run like Josh was able to right here. So, obviously, when you have a quarterback of Jayden's caliber, he can make these kinds of plays, right? All right, and this game, we save it for last. This was actually week 2, the Cardinals' only victory of the season. I would say of the 1 and 2 teams, the Cardinals have played the best out of the 1 and 2 teams because this was an absolute skunk job. And, of course, the Rams had Cooper Kupp in this game. Look at this play by Budda Baker. I just brought up if he's dropped off at all. He reads this, and this is a lot of traffic to make a tackle versus an all-pro receiver. And what does he do? Well, he makes it, right? Not only does he make it, he prevents Cooper Kupp from reaching forward for the first down. Excellent stuff. And here's a run out of 12 personnel. Again, okay? Can you stop it, right? You'll see that, the Rams should feel good about their run fit, right? They have a lot of guys in the box here. And, well, this is what happens when your DT gets blown off the football. Everyone else is doing fine on their assignments, but if you can get this guy moved, this is always going to be an absolute huge gain right up the gut, right? Can you deal with what the Cardinals have up the middle on their offensive line, right? Froholt's a really, really solid player if he's healthy. And here it is again. This time they're pulling not only the guard, but the tight end. So this is counter GY, if you will. Or is this power GY? I know it is counter GY, okay? And once again, no Aaron Donald up the middle, no Michael Brockers up the middle. That changes things, right? Especially a guy like James freaking Conner, okay? So your run fits are going to be very, very important. Cardinals do have Matt Prater, a really, really solid field goal kicker. So I'm going to give you a prediction here at the end. I actually really like this Cardinals team. Not as much, obviously, as I do the Commanders. I've had a lot of fun breaking down the... So this is going to be interesting. I've seen the Cardinals win on a lot of interior rush moves. Okay, go ahead and do that versus Jayden Daniels and see what happens, okay? Still, this is really, really good stuff right here to generate some pressure on Matthew Stafford. All right, so let's have a conversation about this game and the Arizona Cardinals. And Cardinal fans, feel free to correct me on any of this analysis. After watching them closely and taking a look at my preseason power rankings, I haven't really moved the Cardinals all that much, right? Like I said, this is a 1 and 2 football team, but I do think of the 1 and 2 teams, along with the Ravens and a few others, this team is still very good. Tell me which team has played the murderer's row of quarterbacks like Arizona in the first 3 weeks, right? Josh Allen in week 1, Matthew Stafford in week 2, and obviously the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff in week 3. Now, obviously all those teams were dealing with varying degrees of injuries on both sides of the football, but the truth is the Cardinals, despite playing 3 good offenses, they are middle of the pack when you look at EPA per rush defended, EPA per pass defended, total EPA per play. They're about middle, according to the NFL Next Gen Stats. And what makes that very impressive is we have a small sample size of games, right? Like the first place team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, they've not really played great quarterbacks, right? So that is pretty impressive considering that Arizona gave up a lot of these yards here in a 2-minute where they're being very soft defensively. Also, this is an Arizona team playing at home yet again, right? They started off with the road game versus the Bills in week 1, and the Rams and Lions games were both home games, so this is their 3rd consecutive home game, which means they're going to be more well-rested than Washington coming off a short week cross-country to Arizona. That's a tough spot. But this family is really excited to play on the West Coast, right? Because Jayden, of course, has heavy West Coast ties. So he's going to be really pumped playing the game in Phoenix, in Arizona, Arizona State, where he started his career. So you might get another transcendent Jayden performance. And obviously I want the Commanders to win this game. But I actually really do like Arizona in this spot because I think their record isn't representative of how well they played up to this point. I think the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL. They almost beat Buffalo in week 1. So I am going to go with the Cardinals, but feel free to correct me if you disagree down below. One thing I will say, though, is both of these teams aren't as good defensively as they are offensively. So this could end up being, like the Cincinnati game, another fireworks display, which does excite me considering how tough offenses have had it so far in this season in the NFL. That's why that Jayden and Burrow game was so legendary because, well, there was no punts and no turnovers. Finally, some good offense, aided, of course, with some questionable defense. So let me know who you think will win down below. It is Power Hour NFL Boom. And tonight, we're doing tacos.